And welcome back to another episode of the Ministry of Truth. I will only be your host and always only be your host for this outstanding show, at least in my mind. So we're not going to really talk about much today. There was the press briefing yesterday between President Donald Trump and the leader of the European Union talking about trade deals and a few other things. And then right now, after that, we're going to have the press conference that was this morning with the UK Prime Minister. And, well, there's a lot of questions that were asked and a lot of questions that were answered. Let's see if we enjoy any of them, because I really didn't watch the second one because like I said, just happened today. And I was halfway through it. I'm like, you know what? We're going to watch that. But before we watch that, it's obviously a time where we got to start off with a good song. And this song is a great song, I think, to pick for the first song of the week. So, let's go. I said thought I'd start off with something a little bit different because as I was considering going live, I was like, I don't really feel like it. But I was watching that meeting or the press conference like, all right, I think I'll need to go live. And then, what can get me motivated? Well, for some reason, I was looking up Little John songs. And I was going to do that fucking song he did with Usher. Yeah. But then I was like, wait a second, what's this? And it's that song. And I was like, you know what? This'll get me fucking motivated to get going. Dragging ass all day. It's Monday. Typically don't go live, but you know what? Let's go. All right. So we're going to go off with this very first segment. This happened on Saturday, I believe. I saw the interview happen on Alex's main channel. I think it was his main channel. Whatever. And this is the cut down version and the, bullshit lead in and calling this man controversial. Because he says some racist shit sometimes. Don't we all?
Beach police are investigating a possible case of child pornography. The claims spread like wildfire on social media earlier today, including from an independent investigator who says the case was not getting the attention that it needs. And Eagleside's Ethan Krause has our story.
Controversial pedophile hunter Alex Rosen, who was previously in headlines for being arrested in Branson, Missouri, is calling out the Virginia Beach Police Department for not arresting an...
You notice how they're like, oh, we're gonna mention that he's controversial and that he was arrested, trying to downplay what he's doing. Fucking cocksucking children of the corn faggot.
Alleged pedophile despite having video evidence. Rosen, who is known for rocking the boat with his online posts and use of racial slurs, is now ruffling feathers in Virginia Beach, claiming he caught an alleged pedophile on camera admit to their crimes.
Are you going to delete that child porn off your phone?
Yeah, well.
You're going to delete the child porn off your phone? Okay. You're not going to meet a 13-year-old girl ever again, are you?
But when police arrived, Rosen says nothing came of it.
He admits to me that he was in fact here to meet a 13-year-old girl.
All right, I'll see that link for Zippity.
Backpack, and admitted to molesting a 6-year-old girl that he's babysat very recently. The cops show up. When the cops come, he admits everything in front of the cops. He says he's going to delete the child porn, which indicates he has the child porn to delete. Is that the video there? I don't want to see it. I'm asking, did you just play that video? And it's okay, but did you just play that video?
I did, bro.
Okay. He says he's not going to meet a 13-year-old girl for sex again. He's admitting that he did all of this in front of the cop's face.
Rosen says police claimed to not have probable cause to search the suspect's phone despite the video evidence. Commonly, a search warrant signed by a magistrate is required before searching a phone.
I showed him this footage, and they think that's not probable cause to seize his phone. You have a video of the perpetrator admitting he did these crimes, and they still did not take his phone.
In a statement sent to 10 on Your Side, the Virginia Beach Police Department said, quote, "We are aware of the incident and are currently reviewing the information received as..."
Well, why are they doing this? Mainly because an Order 66 was called. And yes, I may have participated in some of that. It's social media, and it's First Amendment, and yeah, let's continue.
well as our response to the situation, end quote. Now we'll continue reaching out to the Virginia Beach Police Department and bring you any updates in this case, both on air and online over on wavy.com.
No, you won't, faggot. All right. So we're moving on. We're moving on to a senator that I have a lot of respect for, which is weird. I know. You can't really have respect for fucking politicians, but this guy's pretty legit. But I'm a little worried because he just had a Mitch McConnell moment, and yeah, that's not good.
Sure, Jesus loves them, but everybody else thinks everybody else.
Come on, Kennedy.
So I guess we had some more technical problems. That was the same night because we lost with Senator Rand Paul.
Like how they're playing
Paul,
it off?
I'm sorry to hear that because everybody respects what Senator John Kennedy has to say.
Nah, that motherfucker froze. Basically pulled, like I said, a Mitch McConnell. But this guy's actually smarter and I thought had a better brain. Oh, fuck.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
fucking turtle looking motherfucker. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to Mitch McConnell. We already went over that when it happened. But yeah, Senator Kennedy next in the chute. Like I said, I don't really know how I feel about that. And it's mainly because 73 years old, right? You can retire at what, 67? Is it 67, 68, 69? I don't know. When I was a kid, it was like 63. But that's besides the point. I retired at 37. Ha ha, I got it all beat. But that brings to question term limits. Not term limits, well, that too. But age limits. Oh my god, you can't do that. It's ageist. You know, once you hit the age of retirement, you should no longer be allowed to work in the federal government. And that includes you, Donald J. Trump. 79 years old? Something like that? Yeah. Anyway, next video. Before we get into the main event. So, you guys remember the guy that in Florida that tried to assassinate Donald Trump at his golf course? I do. Well, he's currently in jail, awaiting for his court case. But, his son was arrested. What was his son arrested for? Terrorism charges? Conspiracy? No. Not at all.
Ashley, authorities obtained a search warrant for Orrin Alexander Ruth's Greensboro home in connection to an unrelated case. But while there, they say they found hundreds of child pornography files on SD cards from several of Ruth's devices. And that's what led to his arrest.
According to court documents, federal prosecutors issued a criminal complaint on Monday, saying the FBI had obtained a warrant to search Ruth's home. It is unknown if that search was related to the investigation into his father. The FBI allegedly searched Ruth's North Carolina home on Saturday and seized several devices. Court documents state that while searching one of those devices, the FBI discovered an SD card that allegedly contained hundreds of files containing child sex abuse images. That SD card also included files from a known child pornography series. Documents state that
a series?
cell phone seized also contains sexually explicit videos, which they described in graphic detail. The complaint also says investigators found a messaging app on the phone that is commonly used by people who distribute and receive child pornography. That app included conversations between the seller of the illegal pornography and Ruth, according to court documents. Oren did release a statement.
I don't know. Wouldn't you think if there was an app and they wanted people to be aware of it so they know to look out for it, but they fail to mention it? Yes, Zippity. Very much so. Very much so.
Statement to us after his father was arrested for the alleged assassination attempt, which reads in part, quote, "You're part of the problem here, and I resent it and won't reward it with my attention or effort."
A warrant for his arrest was filed.
Wait. So he's throwing shade at his dad? Only to be even worse? This guy gets a wood chipper. His dad gets a rope.
Filed in federal court yesterday, and court records show that Ruth is currently in federal custody. He is currently facing 2 charges of possessing and receiving child sexual abuse material. As of this morning, a preliminary hearing has not been scheduled, and he has not entered a plea in his case. In the studio, I'm Casey Zanaway.
Crazy turn of events, right? Crazy, right? That popped up and like, oh, I've got to share this. I've got to share this. I don't know how many people are going to see this, but now you've seen it. And, well, yeah, I guess crime runs in the family. So on to the next one. This is from Michigan, I believe. This happened yesterday. It wasn't a gun, but a good guy with a gun stopped this. And an update is this stabber is going to be charged with terrorism, as he should be. Anybody does a mass casualty incident, that is terrorism, whether you think it is or not. Look up the definition of terrorist.
Right now, with a breaking news alert.
10 breaking news out of Traverse City, a stabbing spree at a Walmart leaving 11 people injured. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rudolph Sinaida. If you're familiar with Traverse City, this is the Walmart right off US 31. All of this unfolding around 5 p.m. today. We did get an update from the Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office tonight. Here is what we know right now. As I mentioned, 11 people currently being treated. 6 of the victims are men, 5 women. At least 3 had to have surgery.
Zippity, zippity. Anytime you add the word blood eagle, you've got me. You've got me. You had me at Blood Eagle.
Tonight, police have identified the suspect as a 42-year-old man. We're also learning he used a folding knife in this attack. A motive still unclear. Now, as you can imagine, frightening moments for both shoppers and workers inside that Walmart. I spoke to one employee over the phone tonight who told me she and others were running for their lives.
I heard just people crying and calling their family like their loved ones.
20-year-old Walmart employee Anna Luke says it was chaos all around Saturday evening. She was inside the Traverse City location when a 42-year-old male suspect began stabbing people inside the store.
So I was just at register and all I hear is run. Someone's got a knife as I'm cashing out someone at the register.
Police arrived in minutes to a horrifying scene. A Good Samaritan is believed to have helped with the apprehension of the suspect. That suspect confirmed to be a Michigan resident.
Coming from Walmart, got stabbed in her right lower back area, and she's also pushed forward and hit her head. She's awake and talking to us.
The Grand Traverse County Sheriff Michael Shea said in a press conference that this did appear to be a random attack and would not comment on the mental condition of the suspect, who is in custody.
Based on the information that we have at this time, it appears there were random acts, that there was no, the victims were not predetermined. And again, that's based on the information we have at this time.
At least 11 people were.
So the guy that they said help, they didn't mention that he was he did it with a gun. Held them there with a gun until the police arrived. Wonder why they don't mention that. It's because they don't want you to know the truth. And you can't handle the truth.
stabbed with an apparent folding knife, 6 still in critical condition as of Saturday evening. Munson Healthcare posted to their social media that they are treating the 11 victims.
I just ran. I ran.
Meanwhile, as Anna, who has only been on the job for 2 weeks, and all the other employees ran for their lives, they're not sure how to move forward. All employees were sent home after the incident, and what they had to witness, they don't wish on anyone.
All I see is the lady covering her mouth because there was blood on it. I did not see her get stabbed, but I just saw blood coming out of her mouth.
The FBI said in a social media post that officials are responding to provide any necessary support, and the investigation continues.
We're just trying to work. We're just trying to shop. What is wrong with people? It's so hard to...
Yo, it's crazy when you think about it. Maybe the Trump administration and the DOJ deciding to charge people like this with the act of terrorism, or the district attorney, that's a good thing. They always should have been held to that. All of them. Because it's exactly what a mass shooting does, or a mass casualty incident does. It instills fear, which in turn is terrorism. All right, so this happened yesterday. What's today, the 28th? This is in Scotland, and it's a joint press conference between the European Union leader and Donald Trump. And, well, it looks like the art of the deal is working. However, this does involve more military equipment, which means it's probably for the Golden Dome.
Well, thank you very much. It's a beautiful Sunday in Scotland, and we thought we could cut things short and certainly travel distance, right, by having our meeting here. So we discussed options, and it's an honor to have the President of the European Union with us. Ursula's been really done a terrific job for them, not for us, but she's done a great job. And she's highly respected by us also. And we look forward to talking to see if we can do something. We've had a very good relationship over the years, but it's been a very one-sided transaction, very unfair to the United States. And I think both sides want to see fairness, but it's been a very, very one-sided deal, and it shouldn't be. And so we're here with her very brilliant staff.
Oh, I guess I should have said this. Back in the early days of this, not Reparations Day, Liberation Day, the European Union said, yeah, we're not going to accept any trade deal that's different from what we have right now. Well, they folded.
And hopefully we'll resolve a few issues. But it's a great honor. You know, we just built this ballroom, and we're building a great ballroom at the White House. The White House has wanted a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate person. You know, no president knew how to build a ballroom. But this just opened, a relatively short time ago, and it's been quite the success. And I think I was just saying I could take this one, drop it right down there, and it would be beautiful. This is exactly what they've wanted. But it's an honor to have you at the new ballroom at Turnberry. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Indeed, it is today about trade between the European Union and the United States. We're together the two largest economies worldwide.
Right.
If you look at the trade volume, it's the biggest trade volume globally, with $1.7 trillion among us. And if you look at our markets, it's a huge market, 800 million people if you take the United States and the European Union. So I'm very much looking forward to the discussions we will have now. Our staff have done some of the heavy lifting, but now it's on us.
Yeah.
And you're known as a tough negotiator and deal maker.
But
what is in front? And fair. And what is in front of us?
That's less important.
If we are successful, I think it would be the biggest deal each of us has ever struck. So I'm very much looking forward.
Ever struck by anybody? That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Right now we have that that honor goes to.
Bro, you notice how the female, her legs aren't even as crossed as those faggots from every other press, or, yeah. Is it really a press conference? Yeah, it kind of is.
Japan, we just struck a deal with Japan, as you know. And we're very close to a deal with China. We really sort of made a deal with China, but we'll see how that goes. And we have numerous other deals. And mostly I'm just going to charge tariffs. And, you know, it's not a deal per se, but people are going to pay tariffs. And we're doing them at the low end, not the high end, because we don't want to hurt anybody. And pretty well, but you and I both figured this is really the biggest trading partnership in the world. So we should give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Very much looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do too. Any questions, please?
On Friday, you put the chances of a deal at 50%, maybe less. It seems like you're in quite a good mood. How would you rate those chances now?
I'm actually not in a good mood, but I will tell you, I think the chances are, yeah, I think Ursula would say, probably 50-50 of making a deal.
Can't remember if it's this one or the next one, but he definitely isn't happy with Israel.
I hope, I'd like to make a deal. I think it's good for both, but yeah, I'd say 50-50.
And what would you say the main sticking points are in this move?
We have 3 or 4 sticking points. I'd rather not get in. We'll be discussing them, but I think the main sticking point is fairness. Okay, please.
Was it about morning golf, or were you not in a good mood?
No, the golf was beautiful. Golf can never be bad, even if you play badly. It's still good. If
Unless
you
you
had a
get
bad
struck
day on
by
the golf
lightning.
course, it's okay. It's better than other days. But no, I think I look forward to this meeting. You know, we've had a hard time with trade with Europe, very hard time, and I'd like to see it resolved. But if it isn't, we'll, have tariffs, and they'll do what they have to do. But we have a good chance of getting it resolved. We'll probably know in about an hour. Shouldn't take that long. It's complicated, but not really complicated when you get right down to it, right?
Well, August 1st deadline, is there any chance that gets?
No. The August 1st is there for everyone. The deals all start on August 1st. Most of the deals, other than steel and aluminum, which we've been getting 50% tariffs from, I guess, just about everybody, and those have come in, and we've taken in, hundreds of billions of dollars just on steel and aluminum. You've seen the numbers. We had a
Take 'em back from
tremendous
Japan.
amount of money coming over the last month, and it's coming in, very.
They were
rapidly.
stealing. This is a long time ago. They were not stealing, selling our steel plants in Pittsburgh to Japanese companies. Maybe it was him in his first administration, but yeah, they were letting Japanese companies come in and take our steel companies over.
Which is fair. We have a lot of
What's up,
steel
Corey?
mills and plants, aluminum mills and plants being built. We have a lot of AI being built, and we have a lot of auto plants being built or going to be built because they don't want to pay tariffs. So, if they don't want to pay tariffs, the best way to do it is just build your plant in the United States. Yes, please.
Sir, what do you expect from the Europeans in terms of opening their markets to American products?
Well, they have to open up to American products. We're open to European products, and we have been for forever. I don't think we have, we just about don't have any, I don't think we have any product we say you can't sell. I guess you could get a little bit cute with chips, but that's, a little bit different category too. No, Europe is very closed. We don't sell cars into Europe. We don't sell essentially agriculture of any great degree. They want to have their farmers do it. And they want to have their car companies do it. I'm not saying anything that nobody knows. We have a rough situation. If we want to sell cars in Europe, we're not allowed to.
That's not true.
As you know, they sell millions and millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, so many different, Volkswagen, so many different cars, and so many millions of cars. I would imagine number one, I didn't look at that, but I would imagine number one by far, more so than even Japan. Japan sells a lot of cars too. But the Japan deal worked out very favorable, very good. I hope for them too. And that's what we want to do, make everybody happy. Yes, please.
Mr. President, should Israel be doing more to
Here we go.
allow food into Gaza?
Say it.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
What did you say?
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Well, you know, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it for food. And it's terrible. You know, you really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food for Gaza. And
a lot of money.
Nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you know, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. I mean, nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. You know, when I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else?
Exactly.
But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said would happen, at the end, you know, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20 people approximately, but that are living. But we have a lot of bodies, and the parents want those bodies as much as they would want their child if that child were alive. I met with parents that were, it was so sad. Sir, please get my son back. How is your son doing? Well, he's dead, but they have his body. And it's so important. It's more important. It's almost like more, but it's as important as if the child were living. These people were, I mean, they're devastated. And I said, when you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then
they got nothing.
They feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. You know, they had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision.
Mr. President, when you were in the Middle East, you talked about the images coming out of Gaza and starving kids. Those images are still going. Many of them are much worse. Thinner children starving. What do you see or feel when you look at those images today?
Well, it's terrible. You know, when I see the children, and when I see, especially over the last couple of weeks, and people are stealing the food, they're stealing the money, they're stealing the money
stealing
for
the cats.
They're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. The Gaza Strip, you know, was given many years ago so that they could have peace. That didn't work out too well. When Israel gave that up, whoever was the prime minister at the time, who I know who it was, but it was not exactly a very clever thing to do, because that was given so that they'd finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse. But we'll see what happens. I think Iran is acting up. I think that we have a lot of people acting. We have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela, they've been very nasty, and we can't let that happen. But we have other countries too. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. And I think in many respects, we probably have the most successful, and I say it all the time, every leader.
Everybody focuses on the southern border, but I'd be curious because I don't think there's a lot of border wall between the U.S. and Canada. I'm pretty sure you can literally just walk across the border.
To NATO the other day, every leader said, you have the hottest country in the world. We have the hottest country in the world now. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. We have the best numbers we've ever had. But we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country. And I think it's the hottest. And by the way, 1 year ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country because of an incompetent president and incompetent Democrats. All they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense.
Whoa.
If they'd wasted...
Whoa. What's your problem with conspiracy theorists? Motherfucker. That's part of your base. Because the theories become true. And it's not just the liberals saying these conspiracy theories, asshole. Let it come. Let it come.
Time talking about America being great again, it would be so much nicer, so much easier, be very successful. But we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yeah. Any other question?
President Trump, on this particular deal, if you manage to do a deal today, will that be the end of the matter, or could there be more tariffs coming, particularly on fire?
No, if we do a deal today with the European Union, that will be the end of it. Yeah, we'll go, I guess, a number of years at least before we have to even discuss it again. No, that would be the end of it. And this is the biggest deal. People don't realize this is bigger than any other deal. We have
what about the one with Japan?
Great countries. I'm familiar with many of them. So are you. And this is really the biggest deal. This is I guess we're the biggest out there, and they're the second. And when we come together, this will be the...
That's funny. He says we're the biggest and they're the second. We're only a country. We're only a country. That's a combination of countries. I believe 12. Could be wrong. Let me double check.
Biggest deal. If that happens, and it could happen. Should happen. Okay? Thank you.
Will pharmaceuticals be part of today's...
No, it won't. Pharmaceuticals will be... I mean, could be we'll do something, but basically pharmaceuticals won't be.
Yes, I was
because we have to have them built.
Very wrong. There are 27 countries in the European Union. That's fucking nuts. Nuts.
Made in the United States, and we want them made in the United States, and I think it's easy to say, and I think it's important to say pharmaceuticals are...
What the fuck?
Very special. We can't be in a position where we're relying on other countries. Now, Europe is going to make pharmaceuticals, drugs, and everything else for us too, a lot. But we're going to have also our own.
A question for President Underwood.
Yes.
Can you give your assessment of what you feel the chances are a deal of? The president just talked about a 50-50 chance, and the biggest obstacle being fairness. What would you say are those things for you?
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. You have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Mr. Trump, can you do better than 15% tariff rate for the EU?
Better meaning lower?
Yeah.
No.
Mr. President, to return to Gaza, you're going to meet...
You like that? He's like, no. Nope. Not even gonna consider it. That's ballsy.
The British Prime Minister tomorrow, he's going to ask you to consider again peace talks between Israel and Hamas. Are you now saying there is no point in trying to...
Well, we're meeting about a lot of things. We have our trade deal, and it's been a great deal. It's good for them and good for us, I think. You know, the UK is very happy. They've been trying for 12 years to get it, and they got it. And it's a great trade deal for both. It works out very well. But we'll be discussing that. I think we're going to be discussing a lot about Israel. They're very much involved in terms of wanting something to happen. He's doing a very good job, by the way.
Also in Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid in Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. You know, I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was was beaten up very badly, for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon. But they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of
The
something
United
that's
States.
so bad, and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
There we go.
Will I do more aid? Yeah.
You
The
motherfuckers.
U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza, but we'd like to have other countries participate.
That's another reason I remember to watch this. Right there. What a fucking cocksucker. This might be the wrong one, but yeah, more aid. More aid. To fund this, help this war. If we're sending more money to Gaza, wouldn't that kind of be like, hey, Israel, are you wasting my money, motherfucker?
We're going to mention that to the European Union today. That's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved, frankly. They would have starved. And it's not like they're eating well. But a lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. You know, they're stealing the food. They're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it. Then they sell it.
On Friday you said that Europe is being crushed by mass migration, and I wonder whether you're agree with you on that.
Well, I'd let you respond to that if you'd like.
So, we have been working intensively on the topic of irregular migration. And we have, from the very beginning, said that migration is a European challenge that needs a European answer.
And?
As Europeans, we will fulfill our international obligations, as we've done in the past, also in the future. But we, as Europeans, are the ones who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. That's the principle in which we are working.
Try. I will say this, they did ask me when I got off the plane, immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, and we do too, but we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first, and I think we're doing a very good job of that. But it literally registered 0 people last month. You probably saw that, nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States.
Damn
They're killing
right.
us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery.
Now this right here, I was like, holy shit, Donald, you must be in my fucking brain when it comes to this. Almost like he said everything I've been saying for years, word for word. Oh, that's a bad thing if he's been saying. All right. There you go. You're welcome, FBI. You're welcome. Or DNI. ONI? Oh, DNI.
Allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China, almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn.
Pay attention. Pay attention. It's going to sound real familiar because I talked about this a few times over the few years.
When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and Wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that
in the water?
over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18. Okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come. It's not going to happen in the United States. And it's very expensive. And I would love to see. I mean, today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right?
No.
And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills. It's like right at the end of the 18th. I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but...
Wait a minute. Since they have a bunch of windmills that kill the birds, and the government uses birds to spy on us, maybe we need windmills. No, we don't.
Yeah, people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists. They're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy.
What about Holland?
But windmills should not be allowed. Okay.
Cambodia and Thailand. You spoke to leaders of both countries.
I did.
Are they doing enough to stop this?
I hope so. You're talking about Cambodia and Thailand?
Yeah. Forgot about
that.
that.
I had an interesting time. We're dealing with Thailand, and we do a lot of trade with Thailand and with Cambodia. And yet, I'm reading that they're killing each other. They're fighting. They're in a war. And I say, this should be an easy one for me because I've settled with India and Pakistan, and Serbia and Kosovo was going at it, but they have for a long time, in all fairness, right? You know about that. And others, the Congo. And what's gone on there. That's been a horrible thing with Rwanda. That's been a horrible thing. 31 years, 7 million, 8 million people killed. Machetes all over the place. It's a terrible thing. We got that one solved. We did 5 of them. And I was saying, we have a trade deal. We were working on another. We finalized another trade deal yesterday. And I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, you know that, in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio's working with them also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing, but that would have turned out to be a bad one. And I will tell you, India and Pakistan, they were really getting ready to go at it. So getting those things settled, if I can do it, and if I can use trade to do that, it's my honor. But I had great talks with 2 very good people that they both really would like to make a deal. So we'll see what happens. Okay, how about 1 more, 2 more?
Europe's now spending a lot more on defense, thanks to you.
They are.
Should they get a fairer deal on trade and exchange?
Well, they're spending a lot on defense, but we're spending a lot more. And we've been very generous to NATO for many, many years. And but we had a terrific meeting with NATO. I'd love to do as well. We had a meeting where they put up 5% instead of 2%, and they're going to pay it instead of not paying, because as you know, many people didn't pay the 2% or anywhere near it, and the 2% was too low. And we're going to be sending now military equipment and other equipment to NATO, and they'll be doing what they want, but I guess for the most part, working with Ukraine. But
I just realized something. in North America, there's no country. Well, there's like pretty much only 3 of us, but we don't have any active wars in countries in North America. There are no current active wars between other countries in South America, but we do have wars between countries in Africa, Europe, and Asia. Think about that. Maybe we are the more civilized. What's up, Dominique?
We had a fantastic meeting. I guess it's now almost 4 weeks ago. One of the best meetings they've ever had at NATO. And the spirit and the coming together was incredible. And I stood and I listened to almost 30 speeches. That was a lot. And I was really late and I had to leave, but I didn't want to leave before those last 10 spoke, because they'd go home and they'd tell their wife, Trump left. And they were so nice to the United States. They were all mentioning the United States and me, but they were mentioning the United States to be here. It's such an honor, you know, et cetera. And I thought it would have been inappropriate. But I did stay. It was very hard because I was extremely late for something else that was, you know, pretty important. And we had a tremendous NATO meeting. I'm sure you heard that too. Yep. It was great. There's some great people that you deal with on 2 fronts, right? But you deal with on primarily the trade front. But I will tell you, they came together and the relationship is really good. That was it's an interesting question, because you probably have reported it that way. It really, we came together and they went from 2% to 5%, which nobody would have thought that was even, who would even think that? Because they didn't want to be at 2%. All of a sudden they're 5%. And that's the right number. And so it was a great honor. I got to know the heads of those countries really very well at that meeting almost a month ago. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll let you know what's happening. Thank you.
Will you be visiting your Irish golf course anytime soon, Doonbeg?
I will. I love Doonbeg. I'll go. It's not in the Strip, but I'll go soon. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was yesterday. A lot of questions asked, a lot of questions answered. But, Mr. President, you're saying a lot of things that I like. However, Donald, where is this so-called client list that doesn't exist? Senate is going on vacation, or the House is going on vacation, and they're supposed to do a congressional hearing with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they're gone for the next month. So we're not going to see that for the next month. So all we can really focus on right now is you. And what's going on with that. That's beside the point. I don't care if you're on the list at this point, because we know your reputation's fucked now. And we know you've hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, who's also Mossad, by the way. And, you know, the more we think about it, like I said, nobody actually ever saw the body. We saw what we thought was a body, but we never saw a real body. Maybe it was real, but whatever. And you know how they like to take bad people and make them think they're dead, make you think they're dead, and in reality, they're in Argentina, you know, just doing stuff. They did find some records there that were there from 1941. That's a little weird. 1941? That means they were there a while. Weird. Oh, anyway. Now we're going to get to the UK Prime Minister. And, well, like I said, I was watching a couple of minutes of this. And I'm like, no, we're going to play this. Why? Because I can. And remember, let's go.
And to start talking about some of the issues that are most pressing in your country, in my country, and in particular, we've had the opportunity to talk about the situation in Gaza and the intolerable
There's no R
situation,
in Gaza.
Including images of starvation. And I think both of us know that We have to get to that ceasefire, and we have to increase humanitarian aid in. And thank you for what you've already been doing, are doing, and are committed to, because without you, this would not be capable of resolution. And I think that if we can work not just on the pressing issues of the ceasefire, but also on this issue of getting humanitarian aid in at volume, at speed, and then
his hand placement is weird.
A plan for what then happens afterwards.
All right, now
I think we
back.
can do our very best to alleviate what is an awful situation at the moment. So thank you very much for the discussion we've had so far and the discussion we're about to continue on that really important issue. But it's fantastic to be here. Thank you for your hospitality and to see this amazing golf
Look at that
course.
thumb squeeze.
I'll invite you to a football ground at some stage, and we can exchange sports.
It's been great being with you, and thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And you've done a fantastic job with regard to the trade deal. You know, they wanted a trade deal here for years, many years, through many different terms of different people, and you got it done. So I want to congratulate you on that, and it's a great deal for both. It brings unity. We didn't need unity, but it brings us even closer together. I think it's good for both parties. We also discussed, obviously, Gaza, and I think before we get to phase 2, which is, you know, what's going to happen afterwards, we want to get the children fed. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it, because so much, as you know, when you do something there, it gets taken by Hamas or somebody.
What's phase 2 in Gaza? I thought we were done. You know, after we give them $60 million worth of aid.
But it gets taken. But and we're prepared to help. You know, we want to help. It's a terrible situation. The whole thing is terrible. It's been bad for many years. But it's great to hear you feel the same way that I do. We have to help on a humanitarian basis before we do anything. We have to get the kids fed. So we've been sending in a lot of food. A lot of the food that's been going there has been sent by the United States. I spoke yesterday with the president of the European Union, Ursula, who was terrific also on the subject, and she's going to play a big role also in helping us. So we have a good group of countries that are going to help with the humanitarian needs, which is food, sanitation, and some other things. It's very difficult to deal with Hamas, as I said. You know, we got a tremendous amount of hostages out, but it would take place in drips and drabs. You'd get 10, you'd get 5, you'd get 2, you'd get 10, 12. We get 12 one time. Many of them would come to the White House, and they were so thankful. But I always said, when you get down to the final 10 or 20, you're not going to be able to make a deal with these people, because they use them as a shield. And when they give them up, they no longer have a shield. And the people of Israel feel so strongly about the hostages. Some people would take a different view, but they feel so strongly about the hostages. So that's an ongoing process. Hamas has become very difficult to deal with in the last couple of days, because they don't want to give up these last 20, because they think as long as we have them, they have them.
But who's saying
they have protection. But I don't think it can work that way. So I'm speaking to Bibi Netanyahu, and we are coming up with various plans. We're going to say it's a very difficult situation. If they didn't have the hostages, things would go very quickly. But they do, and we know where they have them in some cases, and you don't want to go riding roughshod over that area, because that means those hostages will be killed. Now, there are some people that would say, well, that's the price you pay, but we don't like to say that. We don't want to say that. And I don't think the people of Israel want to say that either, which is pretty amazing. A lot of people would say, just get it done and whatever it is. You could also say speed might be better for the hostages. You go through, you know, with speed, you may have a better chance, because they're in deep trouble.
You know, with the technology and capabilities, why don't they just send people in the dark of night? You can do it. You can get them out. Happens all the time. You can go in, sneak in, set up a perimeter, get some helicopters, get them the fuck out of there, whether they're dead or not. You're good to go. Whatever. We have the capability, if we really wanted to. If they were really there. If it really is happening.
Deep trouble. You saw October 7th, and you saw what the damage and the horror that they committed. People can't forget that. You know, they tend to forget it, but they can't forget. That was one of the most evil things I've ever seen.
Like when Israel bombed that Christian church. Oh, we're not supposed to mention that? Of course not. They're God's chosen people.
And you just cannot forget that. So we're very much involved. The Prime Minister's involved. I'm involved. And I think I can speak. We just signed a very big trade deal, the biggest of them all yesterday, right? And the European Union is very much involved in wanting to help with really the Palestinians in terms of getting people fed. But the area of Gaza, another way of defining it is the area of Gaza. It's a very...
You guys remember when we were supposed to go in and build the port? Yeah, I think we started to, and then we didn't.
Very troubled place, and it has been for many, many years. It has been for many decades. So it's not like this just happened. This has been going on for a long period of time. So that's it. Our hearts are in the right place. We have some good news because the recent war that you just saw, they just announced, I see, the newest of the 5, now this would be 6 that we've stopped. I've stopped 6 wars in the last, I'm averaging about a war a month, but the last 3 were very close together. India and Pakistan and a lot of them. Congo was just, and Rwanda was just done. But you probably know, I won't go into it very much because I don't know the final numbers yet. I don't know. Numerous people were killed, and I was dealing with 2 countries that we get along with very well, very different countries from certain standpoints. They've been fighting for 500 years, intermittently, and we solved that war. You probably saw it just came out over the wire, so we solved it through trade. I said, I don't want to trade with anybody that's killing each other, so we just got that one solved.
So we're not trading with Israel?
The 2 prime ministers who I got along with very, very well, and speak to them right after this meeting and congratulate them. But it was an honor to be involved, and that was going to be a very nasty war. Those wars have been very, very nasty. So we've done a lot of good work. We've had great support from the Prime Minister. Anytime we needed help, anytime we needed any form of support, you've been there. We appreciate it very much. And we're going to continue onward. We do have to take care of...
It's also the UK Prime Minister that, was it UK or Great? I believe it was the UK, who, when there was a deal on the table between Ukraine and Russia for peace, everything was good to go. And then Boris walks in. He's like, "What's up, nigga?" To Ukraine. And Ukraine's like, "Hey, man, I'm about to close this deal." "Nah, nigga, hold on. We can get you a better deal. And then Ukraine's like, "Word?" He's like, "Yeah, just come with me." And then, we have today.
The humanitarian needs on what they used to call the Gaza Strip. You don't hear that line too much anymore. You don't hear the Gaza Strip, but it is the Gaza Strip, and it's amazing that it's not being handled a little bit differently. We're going to set up food centers, and we're going to do it in conjunction with some very good people.
Who's going to monitor them, secure them?
Supply funds, and we just took in trillions of dollars. We got a lot of money, and we're going to spend a little money on some food, and other nations are joining us. I know your nation's joining us, and we have all of the European...
Wait, I thought all that money coming in was for AI and investments into AI. I didn't realize it was going to be for food for other countries. Donald.
Nations joining us, and others also have called, and they want to be helpful. So we're going to set up food centers and where the people can walk in and no boundaries. We're not going to have
like a food bank?
Fences, and they can't. They see the food from 30 you would say yards away, and they see the food. It's all there, but nobody's at it because they have fences set up that nobody can even get it. It's crazy what's going on over there. So we're going to work very closely together with your country, a great country. We also discussed inside that we are, there's a whole new thing happening with regard to energy from nuclear.
Hell yeah.
And the Prime Minister's looking at that very strongly. And I know you have Rolls-Royce nuclear plants. That sounds pretty good, right? I love that. What a great brand that is. But you're also doing the Rolls-Royce or the nuclear plants, the smaller plants. We're doing smaller and bigger, but the small is
Wait, how small or bigger?
interesting. They do a small plant, very easy, very safe. And as they need more, they hook up another plant, and they have a series of plants instead of, doing the $20 billion plant. That gets tough for a lot of people to do. So we're just studying that. And it sounds like you're very far progressed, but that's a great thing you're doing on nuclear. We opened up nuclear about 2 months ago, and it's now safe and very inexpensive.
No,
and
we
quicker
see
to build.
Nuclear is a big part of the future as we go to sustainable, independent energy, and I think that between the two of us,
this dude crossed his legs like a faggot, though. That's a first.
Agreed that that's our ambition, that's our aspiration, and this is going to be a big part of the future when it comes to energy. And you can see in the last few years, energy has been weaponised. Prices have dictated both families and businesses across the United Kingdom, and therefore taking control of energy is a huge prize. So the more we can work together on this, the better. And small modular reactors are a very big part of the future here, and we've got great companies like Rolls-Royce involved in that. So
that's crazy.
I'm very much looking forward to working.
Who's your nuclear reactor built by? Ford? Nah, mine's built by Rolls-Royce. Very, very superior to your Ford.
Together with you.
But can we get like the Honda reactors? Because those motherfuckers will run forever.
We'll do that. We'll do that. We're going up to your oil capital in a little while. We're going up to Aberdeen. That's called the oil capital of Europe, and that's a great asset that you have up there. Someday, if they ever change their thinking on that, you have a great and valuable asset. There's a lot of valuable resources underground there, but that's a decision for you to make. But it's a very amazing place, and it is considered the oil capital of Europe. So it's another option that you have. So we are doing really well as a country, and I think that the Prime Minister has been so supportive of us, and so strong and so respected, and I respect him much more today than I did before because I just met his wife and family. He's got a perfect wife and family, and that's never
weird.
easy to achieve, right? But
I take no credit for that.
But he's become
that was kind of weird.
And together we got a deal done that has not been able to be done. It was a deal that's very good for both parties.
A really good deal for both of our countries, and very, very well received here in the United Kingdom.
So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any questions?
Mr. President, on Russia, earlier you said that you were going to change the deadline from 50 days.
Yeah.
What is your new deadline?
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Mr. President, this talks about setting up food centres in conjunction with other organisations.
Right.
You're talking about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation or recognised aid agencies. How will this work?
Well, it's going to be working with the United States. Will be helping with the food. We have a lot of access to food. We got a lot of food ourselves, and we're going to.
So, U.S. AID, maybe rebranded.
Bring it over there. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You've seen the areas where they actually have food, and the people are screaming for the food, and they're 35, 40 yards away, and they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by
Sounds like
Hamas
Somalia.
or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved. We did some airlifts before, some airdrops, and the people are running for it. And the Prime Minister is going to help us. They're very effective with that. You've done that before, and for many, they've done that for 100 years very well. So it's not very hard to do, actually. Yes.
President, you say you love Scotland. You're the most Scottish president ever in the White House. Is there a better deal to be done for Scotland, for Scottish industry, in the deal that you've done with the Prime Minister? Whisky, for example.
Well, I have great love for Scotland. You know, my mother loved Scotland, and she loved the Queen. I don't know. I might hurt myself by saying that the monarchists
Pretty sure my father loved
like it.
Scotland.
Some other people, but she loved the Queen. Whenever the Queen was on television, she wanted to watch. And she would come back religiously. She'd come back to Scotland once a year with my sister Marion, primarily, and sometimes my sister Elizabeth also. But they love this part of the world. And, you know, we're talking about the Isle of Lewis. We're talking about serious Scotland. That's serious Scotland. There was no doubt about it. So, yeah, it gives me a feeling, you know, it's different. You go to another country, you have no relationship to it. You got to like maybe the head of the country or something. But it's different when your mother was born here, Stornoway, right in Stornoway, a beautiful little place.
Is there a better deal to be done for Scotland, for whisky, for example? Because of your love of Scotland, is there a better trade deal to be done for Scottish businesses like whisky?
Well, I assume when we do our trade deal overall, a lot of it comes to Scotland, I hope. Maybe all of it should go to Scotland.
It's a very good deal for the whole United Kingdom. And we're already achieved great things under the deal, and we'll achieve even more as we work together.
A lot of it is Scotland. I mean, I do know that, but I mean, we're dealing with the UK. But a lot of it comes to Scotland. And, you know, I was very particular. This is a part of the world I want to see thrive. It's going to thrive.
Mr. President, back to Gaza. You talk about Hamas stealing food and stealing aid. What responsibility does Israel have for limiting aid to the region? And if I could ask a follow-up to the Prime
Why are they
Minister,
limiting aid?
What pressure can be put on Israel? Is that something that you and the United States could work on together?
Israel has a lot of responsibility. They're hampered by the fact that you still have 20 hostages or so. And the people of Israel are very concerned about the 20 hostages. It's very interesting. You could say they could be more concerned about retribution than the 20 hostages, but they really want the 20 hostages to survive and live to make it. You know, many of the hostages came to my office in the Oval Office, and I was amazed by, I would ask them the question, was there any sign of love? Was there any sign of, when you were a hostage and you have all of these people?
Yeah, I'm sitting trying to remember, did I listen to this when I listened to this the first time, or did I just play this with a different person sitting to his right?
From Hamas around you, sometimes 100, sometimes 10, sometimes 2, but you're a hostage and you're being stored in a pipe. It's not even really, you know, a cave, or it's a pipe, a little pipe. And some said they didn't think they were going to make it because they were losing air. There wasn't enough air, and they'd open up the pipe just in time, but they didn't do it on purpose. They just happened to open it. They got lucky. But I said, did they ever wink at you and say, like, don't worry, you're going to be okay? Did they ever give you some extra food, even if it was a piece of bread? Did they ever give you anything during that time? And some were there for 400 or 500 days now, right? It's a long time, a year and a half, more than that. And not one person said there was any love from anybody. You know, in other words, you have hundreds of people, and you see it in the movies where somebody's a prisoner and somebody's helping. You even see it with Germany, where people would be let into a house and live in an attic in secret. You know, you'd see signs of some. I said, did you see anything like, did they wink at you? Did they say, don't worry, you're going to be okay? I never received, I ask that question all the time. I've never received one answer that said, yeah, they really wanted to help. No, the hatred is just incredible.
It's certainly an access to food issue Minister as well?
Well, I think Israel can do a lot.
Yep.
I will say that Iran, I think, interjected themselves in this last negotiation. Can you imagine the beating they took? We wiped out their nuclear possibilities. They can start again. If they do, we'll wipe it out faster than you can wave your finger at it. We'll have to do that. We will do that gladly, openly and gladly. They've been saying, Iran's been sending out bad signals, I'll tell you. For a country that just got wiped out, they've been sending very bad signals, very nasty signals. And they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. They were talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about. They were interviewed on a recent show, and the foreign minister saying things that he shouldn't be talking about, shouldn't be saying. And I think they got involved in this negotiation, telling Hamas and giving Hamas signals and orders, and that's not good. That's not good.
I would say, look, we need to get the hostages out. They've been held for a very, very long time, and we must always start from there. But also recognise the situation on the ground in Gaza is absolutely intolerable, and I think that certainly speaking for the British public and myself, seeing those images of starving children in particular are revolting. And there's a sense of revulsion in the British public at what they're seeing. And they know, and we know, that humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed, at volume. Yes, some could be airdropped, and we're working with others, with the US, with Jordan on that. But the trucks need to get in because that's the only way you can get the volume in. And we do thank the President for the work he's done to try to get to a ceasefire, which we desperately need, but also to put aid in to the region. There needs to be much more of that. We need to galvanise other countries in support of getting that aid in. And yes, that does involve putting pressure.
So are we the only country that's saying, hey, Israel, let this food in? And they're like, no, we can't do that, bro. And the rest of the Europe is like, well, U.S. can take care of it. We'll just sit back.
On Israel, because this is a humanitarian catastrophe.
Pretty sure that's the United Nations.
We also need to look beyond that situation to what then happens in the event of a ceasefire, which is desperately needed. And that's why I'm really pleased that we're having a discussion about what a peace plan would look like. After that, the component parts of that. And we have to be really clear at this point that Hamas can play absolutely no part in any future governance in Palestine. And that's and in Gaza. And it's really important that we're clear about what triggered this, who took the hostages, and calling out Hamas for what they are, which is a terrorist organisation. But I think today the focus has to be on getting that humanitarian aid in.
Will the UK avoid your pharmaceutical tariffs, and will it happen before August the 1st?
Well, we'll be announcing on pharmaceuticals sometime in the very near future. We have a very big plan on pharmaceuticals. We want to bring a lot of the pharmaceuticals back to America, where, where they should be. If you look at COVID, it sort of taught us a lesson. We were getting our pharmaceuticals from other countries. We almost didn't make any. We used to make them ourselves. And
make the pharmaceuticals cheaper, you can put more people on pharmaceuticals, and then Big Pharma still makes a ton of money because more people.
We're going to want to be making a lot of them ourselves, all of them in a sense. But you also have a good pharmaceutical business. We'll be dealing with you on pharmaceuticals also. And we certainly feel a lot better with your country working on pharmaceuticals for America than some of the other countries that were with the relationship we have. You would not use that as a cudgel. You wouldn't be using it as a block. But we're going to be announcing sometime very soon, I think, pharmaceuticals are our whole thing. And the companies know. And drug prices are going to be coming down very substantially in the U.S., very, very substantially. And that'll happen very soon.
Mr. President, we can all sense your frustration.
No, go ahead. Hold it.
We can all sense your frustration with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Do you think he's been lying to you about his intentions in Ukraine?
Well, I don't want to use the word lying. All I know is we'd have a good talk, And it seemed on, let's say, 3 occasions, it seemed that we were going to have a ceasefire and maybe peace, and you divide it up and you do whatever you have to do, that obviously to get to the end. And all of a sudden, missiles are flying into Kiev and other places. And I say, what's that all about? I spoke to him 3-4 hours ago, and it looked like we were on our way. And then I'd say, forget it, and I'm not going to talk anymore. You know, this has happened on too many occasions, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Successful social media sites. There are new powers here to censor your site, states mandate.
To censor my site?
To censor your site.
You mean Truth? Truth Social?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. Nothing about censoring free speech. But this country is a proud free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very proud of it. We will protect it forever. But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is. From
you used to talk bad about anybody in the UK, especially LGBT. Just words put your ass in jail.
Things like suicide sites. I don't see that as a free speech issue. I see that as a child protection issue.
We actually passed a bill in Congress, headed up by my wife, actually, which was to pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a problem. But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. That's more of a very political, and it's been a very big success.
Not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so they to me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
You're a big investor in this area, Mr. President.
Say it?
You're a big investor in this area.
To put it mildly. Like this ballroom that we built from scratch.
Do you worry, though, about the risk of increased taxes here? Will that stop you investing? And do you have a message last night on the soccer to the English Lionesses who won the European trophy?
So I think that I have a theory that low taxes bring growth. We just passed a big tax cut bill, the biggest bill in the history of our country, actually. And one big, beautiful bill. I used to call it the great one big, beautiful. We took the word great out. But it's actually called the one big, beautiful bill. It's essentially a very large tax cut bill for everybody. And our country's pretty soon, I think I can say it right now, our country has never done better. We had a country that was dead. It was dead 6 months ago, a year ago. Leaders from NATO, we had a very successful meeting at NATO. Your prime minister was there. It was an unbelievable love fest with all of those countries. And they agreed to go 5% and all the things. Very smart to do. But many of the leaders said, essentially, they said, your country was dead 1 year ago.
I don't think
1 year ago we had a dead, and we did. We had a dead country. We had a president who didn't know where the hell he was. We had horrible, horrible people running our country. I think they were sick people, actually, sick. You talk about censorship. Those are big. That's all they did was censor, and they didn't know what to do. And they had high taxes. They wanted more tax, total censorship, transgender for everybody, men playing in women's sports, everything bad they wanted, and they still do. That's what they still do. That's why they're down at 15% or something. I saw it today, the lowest that the other part of the Democrats have ever been.
They're
no, I find that when you lower taxes, you get growth. I will say this area, and the prime minister hasn't been here very long on all fairness. I think he'll be a tax cutter, but I find that as we cut taxes, we did more business. Yeah. In my first tax bill, we cut taxes from 39% down to 22%, and we ended up at the end of the first year, when it was still a little raw, we ended up taking in much more revenue than we did at 39%. It was pretty amazing. And we're taking in a lot of revenue right now, and this was an additional tax cut. So I find, for whatever it's worth, tax cuts are very good.
Russia moved up the deadline. It's now 10 or 12 days. Is the sanction the same, that you're going to slap a 100% tariff on anybody who does business with Russia?
So what I'm doing is we're going to do secondary sanctions, unless we make a deal. And we might make a deal. I don't know. You don't know. It's we've done so many peace deals. This is the one I started out with. And, you know, I know President Putin called me. He wanted to know if I could help him with Iran. I said, no, I don't need your help with Iran. I need your help with Russia. And so that's the one deal that continues to linger. And, you know, we're losing 5,000. They're losing. I'm not losing. You're not losing. But 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian kids a week are dying. And that's not mentioning the people that are dying also in towns where, you know, he's lobbing missiles into certain towns like Kiev. And he's got to make a deal. It's too many people are dying. It's a really bloody war. And the 5 is now, they're really telling me that number is obsolete. It's like 7.
That's terrible.
So you have 7,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers dying every single week for no reason whatsoever. So you would think, based on common sense, you would think he'd want to make a deal. We'll find out.
Publicly, have you had any other Ukrainian channels conversations with the Russians reiterating this?
In what?
Reiterating this new pressure and deadline.
Yeah, we're going to have I mean, well, you're the press. I'm reiterating it to you.
Friday.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is. And look, the Russian economy, I don't want to do that to Russia. I love the Russian people. They're great people. I don't want to do that to Russia. But this thing, they're losing a lot of Russians. They've lost 1 million Russians. And that's the, sons. That's the sons and daughters of Russian families. They leave the house. They go, bye, Mom, bye, Dad, and then they get blown away. And Ukrainian, too. Look at Ukraine. It's a disaster what's happened there. But it continues to go on. As you know, we made a deal where the European Union is essentially involved, but it's NATO, and we're supplying weapons to NATO. NATO's now paying because the United States, because of Biden's in for $350 billion, the European nations are in for about $100 billion. Should be the opposite way, by the way, because we have a big ocean in between. Should be the opposite way. But I think that eventually something's going to happen. It should happen fast. So many people are dying. You know, when I settled out with Congo and Rwanda, they lost almost 8 million people. And it just made so much sense. And if I didn't get involved, they wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about settling it. It was just going on forever. And nobody could go into those territories because they'd get killed. They'd get killed. And now they have I hear it's a whole different ballgame. We settled it. This is one that should be settled. Russia, Ukraine. This is one that really should be settled.
Mr. President, Scotland's First Minister has today set out his plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence. Can I get your reaction to that as someone with deep ties to Scotland? Prime Minister, can I also get your thoughts on that? If the SNP do win a majority in next year's election, then they have the right to hold the referendum,
Well, I don't want to get involved in your politics. We got enough politics of our own. I will say that I predicted what was going to happen the last time. You remember, I was opening the first course over at Aberdeen, and I was over here.
Oil.
And at the same time, and they asked me that question. I made a prediction. It was the day before the vote, and I made it correct. I like to be correct, but I made a correct prediction. I don't know. I do say that when they made that deal, somebody said that it was, and I remember this very distinctly. I said, could they do this all the time? There was a little bit of a restriction, like 50 or 75 years before you could take another vote. Because, a country can't go through that too much. I don't know the First Minister, but I've heard great things about him. I've spoken to him. I hear very good things about him, and I'm meeting him today. So maybe I'll have a better opinion then.
And let me answer that straightforwardly, because I believe in a stronger Scotland, in a better United Kingdom. And I think that at a time like this, when it's quite clear that there's uncertainty and volatility around the world, the strength of the United Kingdom together is very important for all four nations, very important for Scotland. And that should be our priority, that should be our focus, not on the politics, which feels like the politics of yesteryear now, at a time like this. And I think that the First Minister should probably focus more on his delivery in Scotland than on his constitutional issues, and we might have a better health service in Scotland. But at a time like this, I think the United Kingdom is always stronger as four nations. I think that's better for all four nations. I think that's how Scotland is stronger. Look at the deal that we've been able to do with the United States, a really important deal that we made just months ago. That is what the United Kingdom can do when we act as a powerful set of four nations together, and there are very many other examples.
Mr. President, you toured the Federal Reserve last week. And
I did.
Set to meet this week. Do you think your visit has inspired a potential rate cut, or how do you see things shaping out this week?
Oh, it's interesting. I did tour it. I toured the building. And if you looked at this building, if you came here like 14, 15 years ago, we've had it a long time. It's been an honor to have Turnberry. But I was on much more opulent walls, ceilings, floors. We had to do this. And we did a very great job. I mean, you see how beautiful it is inside. Everything was saved. Everything was preserved. We had ceilings that were in bad shape. They were falling down. You know, it's very old. Wasn't properly maintained. Now it's brand new and beautiful. And we saved everything. If you really think here, you took a look and you were sort of commenting to coloring the. Now this is a brand new building, but if you look outside, it's equally opulent and beautiful. And we didn't do that by spending, hundreds of millions of dollars in surrounding a railing underneath the area that you're painting. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Brand new, beautiful plywood, very expensive, wrapped around a figurine.
Dude.